Do you widen the shot and so you can see stuff in the background? And at the end of the day, it's really about making the connection between the audience and me. So I don't want to look all small. Sometimes when you do that, you try to widen the shot too much, and then I end up looking super little. And then people see me in person for the first time, and they're like, "You're way bigger than I thought you were," after I saw you online. So, it's interesting. So we got to work on that framing, misleading folks into thinking I'm 5'6" or something like that. I am not 5'6". I am also live with you right now for another episode of Motivation on Demand. My name is John Guyton. We are here at John Guyton Studios, and if you haven't been here before, welcome. If this is not your first time and you've been here before, welcome back. It's really simple. Get in the comments and throw out a word, a phrase. It could be something you're challenged with, working on, that type of thing, right? You could be a family family from Hawaii that has a question. You could be in LA wearing suits that are too tight and you have a question. You could be in Colorado and have a question. It all, it doesn't matter. It could be a question, phrase, whatever. Just put it in the comments, and then, we're going to rock and roll. It's muted. I don't think it's muted. Fake news on the internet. Don't believe that comment. I am 5'8". It makes it look like I'm 5'6". You're 5'8", buddy. We can go with that. 5'8" plus a little bit. All right, what we got? Give me a word. Give me a comment. Give me something to work on, and I'll make it happen. I'm gonna do a motivational talk, or at least that's the goal, guys. Yeah, that is the goal. All right, Pat, what's up? What's going on? Okay. Matriculation. We have a damn. Oh wow. We're basing this on matriculation. And we're gonna base it on some more things. Matriculation. It's an airplane. What we got? Okay, sound is back on. Thanks, Brad. I didn't know it was gone, but it's good that it's back on. If you were experiencing technical difficulties, I'm glad you're back here. Let's do this. We've got one word so far, and that is matriculation. Oh man, we have another one: sibling rivalry. Oh man, sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry. Okay. You kick me like a dog, man. Okay, so we've got matriculation, we got sibling rivalry. Matriculation, sibling rivalry. We've got something else coming in. We're gonna get it cracking here. I don't know. What's interesting about this is literally I just blank slate. Oompa Loompas. What was the original description of Oompa Loompas? I have no. Wish I had the internet. I have no idea. What was the original description of Oompa Loompas? Okay. All right. What was the original description of Oompa Loompas? Negotiations. This is gonna be fun. What in the world? Negotiations. Yeah. To a matriculation. Sibling rivalry. What was the original description of Oompa Loompas? Negotiations. White people. Wow. Just wow. Just wow. How in the world? This this is one of those things. And then we got Coach Prime. Okay. All right, matriculation, sibling rivalry. What is the original description of Oompa Loompas? Negotiations, white people, Coach Prime. All right. Holy moly. Okay. I love you guys. This is great. Thank you for that. So there's an important message I think everybody should know. And the saying is, don't freak out, find out. We'll get to that in a second. We got to talk about something else really quick. We have to understand, and we have to help each other understand something about family. You know, you don't choose your family. You get to choose your friends. You get to choose, to an extent, people that you work with. You know, you get to choose a lot of things in life, but you do not get to choose family. And there's something that happens when you have a sibling. Now, I've got a brother, and in the younger years, we would do a little comparing. It's a little awkward because I think he's actually listening in right now. But we would do some comparing each other. We would fight a little, you know what I'm saying? We would fight. I don't know that I would call it a sibling rivalry, but there was definitely this tension between my brother and I. We're not that far apart in age. And so we would have a similar circle of friends, and we would be on the same sports teams, and we would go to the same places and do the same things. And when you don't pull back and have the right perspective, you can all of a sudden say to yourself, you know, this is somebody that gets on my nerves. This is somebody that annoys me. This is somebody. You've got more context with your sibling than you do with anybody else in your life. And so that context carries with you a responsibility. And it's a responsibility that I call United Front. When I was in elementary school, I had an incident where this guy was, I wouldn't say picking on me because I never got bullied. That's not what happened. But he made it clear. He was, he doesn't speak for all white people, right? But he was talking about how, he's talking about some racial stuff. Let's just leave it there. And he was a few grades older than me. And my brother came up with the plan. I told him about it. I told him what happened. The guy was talking this and that. He was saying this. And he is a few grades older than me. And my brother says, okay, we're going to handle it. And he didn't say the words United Front, but that's exactly what happened. We got to school, and he told me the game plan. And it was, spoiler alert, we were going to fight. He told me exactly how I was going to go. I know you remember this, Roger. He said, now you're going to go up to him, and if he says anything to you, I want you to push him. And then I'm going to push him. And we're going to overwhelm him as a team. Roger, you remember this? So this guy, he was taller than me. I think he was taller than my brother too. He was taller than both of us, right? A few grades older than me, a grade older than my brother. And we took care of business. And this kid never spoke a word to me again. It's like when the bully tried to mess with my brother. He took care of that too. But we realized at that point that there is a united front, right? I'll definitely need more song, but it's a united front, meaning no matter what's happening in our life, no matter what's happening at home where we annoyed each other because of this or because of that, no matter what happened at the last cookout or what happened because we share a room at that time. We shared a room, and so his side of the room was dirty, and then he did something, he borrowed something of mine, or I borrowed something of his. No matter what happened, when we get out there in public, it's a united front. I think that's really important. If you have a sibling out there, and it's hard enough with all of the different challenges that you have in your life, it's hard enough, But when you need to make sure that you put yourself in a position to win, to be successful, to even survive, your sibling is on your team. You're on their team. And it's a united front. You put whatever you've got going on aside and you say, you know what? Why would I compete with my sibling? Why would I have a sibling rivalry when everything else is already stacked against me? I've already got all these other challenges and things I need to do. Why would I add upon that for my sibling? That's fighting a losing battle. It really is. Now, we've got a lot to cover today. We're going to go into it's like going into the deepest and darkest part of the African jungle, right? All these different words, pulling them together, but we're going to make it happen. A theme here is about matriculation. Matriculation means how you work through something. And I'm going to work through all these words because that's what I do. It's what I told you I was going to do. That's the promise that I made, and I'm going to keep that promise. I'll tell you a story. I was on a plane, and this is really a specific message for some of you listening here. I was on a plane, and I was sitting in first class, and I was flying back to Houston on a first class flight. And because it's important to the story, I'll tell you that I was the only black person in first class. This is also important, I was in the back, right? It was only 4 rows. I was in the 4th row, and I was in the aisle, all right? Now I was sitting next to, it was all other white people except for me. I was there, and I'm talking to the guy next to me, and we happened to get onto a conversation about race. And what happened next was interesting. They started serving dinner, and they have a couple of choices. And there's this kind of, deal. There's a veggie and the chicken. Of course, I want the chicken. I'm not really trying to rock with the little veggie plate. But you've got to get your order in pretty quick, or if you don't get your order in, you may actually miss out on the order. So the flight attendant started to take the orders, and they took the orders starting from the front of the plane, and they went aisle, window, row 3, aisle, window. Now, when they got to my row, the flight attendant took his order next, skipped over the aisle where I was sitting, and took the order of the person next to me. Now, all white people except for me, talking to the guy next to me about race. Of course, he looks at me and says, John, how are you going to explain this? How are you going to explain this? At the moment, I didn't have an answer, but I said, I'm going to find out. Remember I told you before we started, the sentence was, don't freak out, find out. This is an example of that. Don't freak out, find out. So when I finally did make my order, they did have chicken left, the chicken plate or whatever I ordered, the chicken wrap. So I was happy, but I said, I got a question for you. Is there some sort of process or methodology of how you serve and what order you serve people? And they took a moment, they said, absolutely. We do it by flight status. They proceeded to show me the chart of all the flight statuses. So if you're double, triple, quadruple platinum and you fly 1,000,000 miles, you get to order your food first. And if you're like me at the time, the lowest of status, I get up, my brother get upgrade every now and then, but I'm lowest of the status. And so I got my food last. Somebody's got to get their food last. You got to dig deeper. No, the chicken wrap was not fried. It was a grilled chicken, Brad. But you have to dig deeper to find out the real thing of the story. It's like, don't freak out, find out. If you want to ask yourself, what was the original meaning of Oompa Loompa? Maybe it's a bad meaning. Maybe it has some sort of bad origin. Who knows? I'm not sure. But what I'm not going to do is freak out. I'm going to find out. When I'm done with this, I'm going to go, I'm going to figure it out. And then if you learn, go, oh man, Oompa Loompas were black pygmies. Willy Wonka imported from the deepest, darkest parts of the African jungle. Whoa, wait a minute. Great, find out. Don't freak out, find out. And that can be really good for any part of your life. Any part of your life. You don't just make a blanket statement and say this is what it is. You got to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Now, same thing goes for negotiations, for example. When you're in a negotiation and you're putting yourself at the negotiating table with somebody and you're saying, Maybe you're talking about salary. Maybe it's about negotiating points on getting an investment, right? You want to figure out what the valuation of an investment is. And you hear something that you don't like. What are your choices? Or you're asked a question, or you're asking a question to yourself, and you're not sure exactly what to do. Don't freak out. Find out. If you're worried about something, it could be something in your life, something's going on, you're worried about something, don't freak out, find out. I was working with an entrepreneur years ago, and they were terrified about a situation, about a family business situation. Dad was running the business. Mom needs some medical assistance already, needs some medical help. And the question was, what happens if something happens to Dad? I am terrified. Something happens to Dad. The family business is in shambles. We've got to take care of Mom. We don't know how to do. Mom needs around-the-clock care. Wait a minute. Don't freak out. Find out. Okay. So instead of worrying about something that you don't know the answer to, let's go ahead and find the answer. So after literally finding out, she discovered that Dad had already had a pretty significant life insurance policy in place. So if something were to happen to him, there's plenty of money to take care of Mom. There's plenty of money to do a transfer of power in the business and run that. And so all she had to do was lock that into place and say, okay, now we've got a plan. Anticipate possible breakdowns. Anticipate possible breakdowns and react accordingly, but not on speculation. Speculation is not going to do you any good. If you look at a book cover, right? You say, "Oh, there's the book. There's the book. I want to say what the book is about." I've had people look at my book cover and say, "Oh man, I don't like it." Or, "Hey, that sounds pretty interesting." How do you know? You didn't read the book. You can't judge a movie if you didn't see the tail of it. You didn't even see it. You've got to read the book. Don't freak out. Find out. Don't freak out, find out. It works in almost every situation of your life. If you're worried about something, if something's bothering you, if something's angering you, if something is uncertain, if there's uncertainty, I'm not sure how I'm going to do on this, or I'm not sure what's going to happen when I open this door. I'm not sure what's going to happen when so-and-so arrives. Don't freak out, find out. Here's how you do it. Let me give you something practical. You say, look, what is the most plausible or the plausible outcomes that I can predict right now? What are the possible things that can happen? And what can I do right now about those things? What can I do? It's like when Coach Prime acquired the 1-11 Colorado Buffaloes. Don't freak out, find out. What could he do? Well, he realized he could make some changes in the portal, and oh boy, did he. I'm bringing my luggage and it's Louis. Go ahead and jump in the portal and make a room for some dogs. And we did it last year, I believe. You can let me know in the comments, but I bet 53 people on the roster turned over in 1 year. And now we realize we need some dogs. We need some hogs. We need some linemen. We went out and found some linemen. We've already got some commits, right? So Prime is thinking about the same thing. All of these things, it's how you work through what you've got going on, the matriculation of it all. How you work through what you've got going on. Sibling rivalry? What are you talking about? United front. Make a separation between what happens at home, what happens around friends, what happens there. Just know that when it comes down to it, there's only that sibling is going to be that person that has your back. They are the only one who knows all the parts about you. My brother knows more about me than anyone else. At least up to a point. He's actually, and look, you got to watch out for sibling rivalries because sometimes they're going to get you. Like my brother did when I was in college and I was at a barbecue, as a party. It was a graduation party with some scholarship donors and some really amazing folks. Jay and Kyla and all these folks were there. And they went up to my brother and they said, tell us something. They all came up to my brother and they said, hey, tell us something funny or embarrassing about John. You know, we want a funny John story. This was celebrating my college graduation. You know what my brother said? He looked at my scholarship donors and all these folks and he said, John used to wet the bed till he was 12. Bruh. Siblings, you got to be careful. Okay? That is not an example of united front. You shouldn't have told everyone I used to wet the bed till I was 12. But it's out there now. So I'm saying it to you because I want you to understand. Look, don't freak out. Find out. If you have a challenge, just find out. Period. Yeah. Period. CU needs poly kids? 100%. Now, if you don't know what poly means, you're always talking about Polynesian. Right? Some Tongans. They're built different, literally. Bones thicker, structures thicker. I don't think they feel pain. They're a different breed of folks. I think we do need, I think we do need some folks like that. Yeah, somebody who doesn't need to be taught how to do the haka. Somebody who literally just picks their pain on a daily basis. Remember when we did have some folks from the island come to see you? Remember when Jordan Dizon came to see you and he was, as a true freshman, came in and took a starting spot? Why? Because he's hunting wild boar with his bare hands. Just a knife and just run it. Have you ever done this? Have you ever ran through the jungle? This is real life. Have you ever ran through the jungle without a gun, right? You just got a knife and you're hunting wild boar. You tell me that's not different? That's different. And yeah, we need that. Don't freak out. Find out. Find out who's available. Find out what's going on so we can change this. Whether it's CU football, whether it's how you interact with your sibling, whether it's a story or a situation or something that didn't happen the way you wanted it to in your life. Don't default to being a victim. Don't default to something that's out of your control. Keep your control by asking, what can I do? Keep your control by, instead of freaking out, finding out. Find out. And from there, you can figure out what to do next. All right, here's what we do next. Review, make sure I got all the words. Let's see, Coach Prime, check. Matriculation, check. Sibling rivalry, check. What was the original description of the Oompa Loompa? Yep, got that. Negotiations, white people, got that. The book, got that. Yeah, even added in some comments. I feel good about this one. It was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So this is, if you're coming late, you're like, I'm not sure exactly what I watched. You watched Motivation on Demand. My name is John Guyton, and this is John Guyton Studios. What happens next is this. I tell you that I'm going to be here tomorrow, which is true. I will. Hopefully you'll be here tomorrow too. What's up, Don? I'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be here tomorrow too. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip open some papers. There's not even anything written on the other one, but yeah, we're pretty much done. Now we're just going to kind of fade this thing out. See you next time. So now it's in